First of all, thank you, Professor Mantha. Distinguished members on the panel, distinguished members of the audience. I did not become an engineer by accident. I became an engineer by choice. And when I said that, I appreciate what you said, and I really think that many of us, and many of the people who are in the engineering profession today, have the round pegs in a square hole or a square pegs in the round hole. They are neither mentally, nor intellectually, nor academically, nor emotionally integrated with engineering. And the reasons for that are various. We have, first of all, let me tell why I came to engineering, because that will tell you what is the role of a person who tries to get into some particular profession at that particular period of time. We did not have much understanding when we were at our higher secondary level. At that particular time, it was higher secondary or PUC or whatever you call it. 10 plus 2 was not the role. It was 11 plus 1 or something like that. Anyway, I had an accidental interaction at a very young age. When I was about 7 years old, I was given a wristwatch. And when this wristwatch was given to me, I tried to sleep with that watch on the thing, and it started giving tick, 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 tick. And I couldn't sleep, so I opened the watch. And obviously, once I opened the watch, I could never put it back. And that was the end of that watch. And that started my mind that somebody must have done a very remarkable job in bringing these particular components together, because it did not take me much time to break that thing. So it did not take much time for me to break out those particular parts, but try however hard I would, and I tried almost for a month to bring it back together, but I couldn't. So I started thinking that what is making people work like this? The second accident was that while we were in the class, one day a teacher said, ask everyone, what do you want to become? This was at around 10th standard or so. And somebody said engineer, somebody said doctor, somebody said whatever. And there were majority of the people who wanted to say engineer. So then we had a group, and we said, let us sit down and say why we want to become engineer. And that was the starting point where we started talking in terms of what engineering is for us. Unfortunately, when I went to the engineering college, it was far from what we had thought what engineering was and what engineering we wanted to do. In the curricula, in the kind of things that we were taught or not taught, we were not really trying to work what we wanted to work. And I therefore suppose that there is a necessity that we have to make a certain amount of changes in the curriculum. But more importantly, when we try to become an engineer, when it goes into the industry, what does the industry want to do with you? And I think he has given a very good example, and I don't want to continue with that. But the fact remains that when I started, when I graduated, I went into IBM. IBM, fortunately, at that particular time, was giving jobs in India, and I got a job. And the first thing that they said is that you have to come in a hot sleeve and a tie. I said, how can I come like that into the, because most of the jobs you are doing is in the office. So I said, I'm basically my engineer, I'm not interested. I left the job. And then I was also selected in Air Force, so I went to Janali and started trying to see what Air Force is trying to do as far as engineering is concerned. So that gave me an opportunity to understand something about this thing, gear, activity and engineering. Ultimately, I thought, okay, let me try to get back into academics so that if probably I can influence the engineering education so that the next generation of engineers can be better in terms of both technology as well as what engineering curricula we teach. but alas, I have been trying for the past 35 years, I have not made much of a dent. But now we are trying to talk in terms of what engineering education should be and what engineering education can really lead to the growth and make India and power in terms of, I'm not interested only in economic power, but in terms of a power which is based on knowledge, which is based on respect, which is based on professionalism. That particular curricular changes which are needed is probably what is going to be important for growth of this particular country. Engineers or scientists or technologists, all of them are going to contribute only to that extent that they are, number one, honest, sincere, hardworking, and have a passion for the job that they do. Doesn't matter what job you are doing, even if it is a shop floor job. One of the most important things that we must understand in this country, that we hate to working with our hands. We hate to dirty our hands. We hate to work in the shop, on the shop floor, because probably we have not understood that it is important that brain and hand coordination or limb coordination is very important in terms of being able to be creative. That is another particular part of the story, that we have in today's engineering education forgotten about the experiments, forgotten about the way we want to explore, and that is another very damaging thing that has happened to the engineering education. Today, engineering education does not have, the course curricula does not emphasize on being in terms of application of knowledge, application of this thing, and using your classroom education into making something which is into fruitful for this society. Therefore, the project-oriented education, the experimental-oriented education is not there, because nobody wants to invest in that kind of a thing, and that is probably one of the challenges we have to face in this particular country. And this, as you go up, as you go in for MTech or as you go in for PhD, goes on totally this thing, and we are producing engineers who have not probably touched any modern instrument, who have not tried to use any modern instrument to make any measurements, to make any, because you cannot make anything, you cannot improve anything unless you are, somebody very rightly said that if you cannot put anything in the form of a mathematical system, then you have not understood it, and if you have not able to measure a thing, then you are not in the field of science. Science requires measurement, metrics, and because of that, it is important for us to understand that unless that kind of an attitude is given to the student, we will not be able to contribute either in terms of innovation or in terms of knowledge or in terms of really finding an answer to the problems of the world. Very correctly, India does not have any particular distinct shortage of problems. Everywhere we go, we have enormous number of problems. But are we doing anything, either in the engineering colleges, even in the premier engineering colleges, IITs or whatever you call them, are they doing anything in order to really challenge the problems that are being faced by this country? And that is one of the major problems. Why can't we? Professor Banta very rightly said that why aren't we having an intercourse with MSMEs? We said that in Mahamaya Technical University we have made it a point that the second year and third year students will go to the neighboring MSMEs, try to find out what product they are making, what processes they are using, what materials they are using, so that if they can come back and give a report of that, we can try to say that how we can improve that, we can have a project on the basis of that, not basically in order to first cash on that, but if we can make a contribution, I think that will change the landscape of engineering in that particular area. That's an innovation that we are trying to do in the curricula of Mahamaya Technical. Another particular thing that we are trying to do is we have introduced biosciences, we have introduced geosciences, we have introduced nanosciences and other particular things which are independent at the first year level. Because I believe in next 5 to 10 years, engineering education must have a very, very large quota of understanding of biology. Unless the biological systems and the engineering systems come together, neither we can create good products, because after all, whatever products you make, they are to be used by humans or by some other particular person. So you must understand the impact of technology on biology, on biosystems, on human beings, or on the nature. And simultaneously, you must learn from nature what and how components can be designed, how they can be assembled, and how they can be brought into the form in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of environmental friendliness, and in terms of being able to create more and more understandable products which are targeted to individuals. We're trying to talk today that a pharmaceutical capsule will be suited and targeted to your DNA. That kind of a technology, if we have to come under, unless we understand biology, will not be able to do it. So those are the things we have to change. We have to make a system which is credit based. It doesn't matter in 2 subjects or 10 subjects you fail, but so long as you make the credits of 100, 120 or whatever, then you can get a degree. It doesn't matter what those subjects are. If they are of your choice, you take those subjects, you pass those credits, and you can get a degree. And that's what we are trying to do. The third important innovation that is very important in curricula today is that we need to understand that it is not only that you have to learn something in the classroom. There is much more knowledge available on the cyber world. There is much more knowledge which you have to go on interacting with even after the classroom, even after you have got the degree. And we must teach that in the classroom. Today in the classroom, giving only the book knowledge is not enough, is not really the starting point. What has to be done is that we have to tell the student how to learn and how to learn on his own and how to verify that learning, how to evaluate that learning so that he knows what he has learned is correct and is usable. So that is another particular point, and for that reason what we have said that in every classroom we must discuss what is outside available in that particular area, and therefore in our curricula, in every course that we teach, we have given a URL that is referring to that particular course content somewhere else. So we are trying to bring outside world also into the classroom, and then we want to take the knowledge from the classroom into application in the outside world, maybe with MSMEs, maybe with any particular thing, or maybe trying to make entrepreneurs out of our engineers. Probably one of the major problems today in India is that very few engineers ultimately turn out to be entrepreneurs, and that is required today. The final thing that I would like to say is that innovation, creativity, and making a difference does not happen if you are trying to make a risk-free society. You cannot afford to create unless you are ready to take a risk, unless you are ready to suffer a loss, unless you are ready to face the failure, unless you are ready to know that what you do is not essentially going to be at the output end productive. Maybe accepted, maybe acceptable, maybe not acceptable. If you are ready to face the failure and challenge that failure, if you are ready to learn from your failure, if you are ready to learn from your what our problems are, then only probably you can be innovative, then only probably you can be creative, then only probably you can get up and solve the problems of the country. We must understand that it has been past so many decades that we have not really looked at our problems from the point of view of solving them, and that is the reason why today there is so much of problem in this country, because we have neither looked at the social problems, we have not looked at the engineering problems, nor we have looked at the economical problems, nor we have looked at the structural and political problems that this country is facing. Thank you. Thanks to the Engineering Watch for inviting me here. I congratulate Engineering Watch for doing this. I have known Raghav for past few years, and I have always seen him doing something which is different from the conventional. A person who has done his BTech and MTech from IIT Kharagpur is trying to do his best in order to change the landscape of engineering education. I am glad that he has done it, and I am always with him for this. Thank you.